for we were slightly delayed. We apologize for that. And by the way, Brent is feeling a little under the weather tonight, and he will be hopefully back with us tomorrow night. We apologize for being slightly late, less a little long-winded after the show. That's the way it goes. We don't just tell Les, "Hey, we got to go." Then you'll get chewed out. We don't get chewed out, but we will. And that was what we were talking, Terrence. That's what we were talking to Les about his next appearance. He's ready for the next one already, and he's really ready. And he's just got so much. We only scratched the surface. We talked about the one thing and with the Infernos, but we got to find out this other deal that he did in the Gulf Coast. When he was the teenage superstar, we got to find out who he worked with and all that. So, this is Stuart. Never is with great guests. After then there's that one drag, of course. Britt's fine. He had a little back issue this morning, and he took a muscle relaxer and made him dizzy.
He is relaxed.
He is mighty relaxed. Hopefully, he says he'll be back with us tomorrow night. We will see. It could have been that he put that Kevin Sullivan picture up and he thought I wouldn't find out about it.
Could have been.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
Somebody read it.
That's right. It's my mother, actually. So tonight, I do believe we are going to talk about Tony Anthony, or does Brent want to wait till he comes on tomorrow night? Is that what he wants to do? Jack, is it? Do you want to? Does Brent want to wait till tomorrow night? Because he told us about doing the other thing about
Tom Drake.
Tom Drake, but he also sent a thing about Tony Anthony. Do you want to go through Tony Anthony?
It's up to you, or we can wait till tomorrow night on him. I've got everything on Tom Drake. If we want to just do that one,
sure, we can do that. And we will make our time up tomorrow night from Brent's back for all of our insiders here. We will make our time up for you. Make sure we get everything in. But yeah, Les was just awesome. Let's see, we got Michael here. Dr. Philbo is a happy new grandpa.
Awesome.
He wanted me to tell y'all that he's a new member of this of the family, grandbaby boy. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. Another question. I think someone was asking about the sale. Jack, what do we know about the sale?
Still heavily rumored that WWE is prepping the company to sell. The biggest rumor, of course, of buying is NBC Universal, which is owned by Comcast, which Xfinity cable company.
Sure.
So
and they also own USA Network, who they've been partners with for years.
So it would make the most sense for them financially because everything's already in place.
Sure.
So personally, I'm not 100% sure that's what's going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me. Just a lot of things that you do when you're going to sell a company, you cut every corner you can so that when auditors come in that are interested in buying, they see a huge profit margin and they don't see a lot of waste out there. And that just, to me, seems like what they're doing. And I think, the biggest surprise everybody had was Braun Strowman. He was in a title picture 2 weeks ago, and then he got canned.
Wow.
And he has even made the statement that he's not going to AEW or Impact or anywhere else, that if he can't work for WWE, then he's done with wrestling. Now, that's one of two things. One, he has put enough money back, he don't have to worry about it anymore. Or two, he has under the table type understanding that this is what's going on, and as soon as all this is done and over with, you'll get brought back to the company. So there's a lot of rumors that really lean heavily towards the sale, though.
Wow.
And I think it would be good. I mean, we have long said that once corporate gets product, it goes downhill. But I'll be honest, the way that Vince has been guiding the ship, and I have nothing but respect for him because I honestly believe wrestling would have died back in the 80s, early 90s if it hadn't been for him. He changed the business model. He adapted and he drove forward. Did I always like the product? No, I didn't. But as a businessman, I really appreciate what he's done. But everything comes to an end. No matter what. And honestly, I don't know that corporate could do a worse job right now than what WWE's doing themselves.
Well, I mean, basically, a lot of their revenue streams come from NBC anyway.
Yep.
And what I would assume is the exact same thing that Turner did to WCW. They will take and divide those revenue streams out to the various Peacock Network, to USA. They will get 100% of that and just give the wrestling a budget, which makes it look like it's losing. And we all know what happens when the head honcho with NBC Universal takes over, a new guy comes in. They could say, well, this is a losing cause. Let's get rid of it.
Well, and hopefully there's enough people that will go back and look at that history and not repeat that. But also I was reading an article today where for content TV, the cheapest thing to produce and put on TV now is professional wrestling.
Wow.
That's why there's such an overabundance of wrestling programs on. I mean, there's not a day of the week that you can't get something new on somewhere.
Wow. Well, I have mixed emotion. I mean, I'm mixed about it. I understand cashing in. I get that point. But if this is for longevity of the company, I'm not sure that not keeping it in the family would be better for longevity. Passing it over to Shane and Stephanie, and then they pass it on to their kids. Yeah. Because for whatever reason, if you don't really have a love and an absolute love for the business, you won't make that investment. I truly feel that. I think that's what happened with WCW, and it's let's see what we get.
Well, if they learn anything, if they do anything right, it would be keeping Triple H as far as in charge of the quality of the content, because NXT shows that he knows how to produce an upper level professional wrestling show.
Sure. And always, regardless of what they may think, they will always have NBC Universal will never have them as the president. They will always assign someone that they answer to.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. Now, it could very well be Stephanie was, from what I remember, she was named one of the top CEOs or CMOs or whatever.
Yep.
And she may be one of the might be looking at a job with NBC itself.
Yep.
At Universal, and one of their head honchos there. It could be. I don't know. But my don't feel good about it myself. Like I said, the history has shown that when corporations take over, they don't have the emotional attachment to keep it going when things get tough. Let's see.
Well, real quick, I will go over this. Is that we all, me especially, we get hung up on ratings. And last week was a 1.4, which is a historic low for WWE programming.
Is that for both shows or for
Raw? That was for Raw. I'm not sure. I never did see the ratings for SmackDown.
My question is this, and maybe some of the insiders could agree with me on this. To me, you're going to have 3 hours worth of show. You need 3 hours worth of talent on the show.
Yeah.
So if you have an hour, I would say you at least need 12 to 14 wrestlers to appear in that hour per 12 to 14 wrestlers to appear every hour, not the same ones either.
This is something we have found out on this podcast, is that when you go too long, you lose viewers. Yeah. So we do segments like we're fixing to do, and they're concise and they're less than 10 minutes. And people don't tune out. They'll watch the whole thing, and then move on to the next one, hopefully. Well, WWE may be sliding ratings very badly on TV, but their internet YouTube hits are historically high. People are tuning in for those bits and pieces that they put on there of just those certain matches, of just those certain interviews. So people know what's going on with WWE, but they're not watching traditionally anymore. And that's, that's a worldwide thing. That's where maybe WWE is so far ahead of the curve on this that we're not even realizing it. And maybe they are, because I've heard they're worth $6 billion in a sale. Now, you don't get worth $6 billion if you ain't got a $6 billion product, plus them knowing that they're going to more than make their money back in a short amount of time.
Sure. And as I said, the thing that really caught my eyes when they moved the WWE Network to Peacock, because I always felt the WWE Network was the future. And to have that become part of something else, it gave me pause at that point, saying, okay, something's going on here.
Yeah, and I did understand the point of, they went from 2 million subscribers to, 25 million subscribers or something like that. Of course, for me, it was great because I have Xfinity cable, so I got Peacock for free, so I'm saving $10 a month.
Well, absolutely. Let's see if I believe Peacock has a huge say, and then of course it does. Of course, does, they own the network, they own the pay-per-view. Well, what we call pay-per-view. There's no pay-per-view anymore. You're either a subscriber or you're not. Yeah. So there's no pay-per-view. The big event.
We just don't have another name for it.
Sure, and they'll switch it. They'll stop. They'll just drop the pay-per-view altogether eventually. Of course, he says.
Did we answer Michael Barr's question about it being called WWE?
No.
Okay, it'll still be WWE, Mike. If they buy it, they buy the name, and there's no, it would make absolutely no sense to change that name. That's a worldwide recognized product.
Sure. Absolutely. Let's see. Rumors are great. Reality is key in a weird business like ours, with all of these things on lately, like biographies, treasures. It'll be very interesting.
Yep.
Let's see what we got else. We got.
That's why I keep emphasizing rumors.
If somebody buys it, WWE, the times be cut down. Will the times? Go ahead.
Well, I think that would be up to the USA Network, NBC Universal, Xfinity overall, but they're the ones who wanted a 3-hour program block.
Yes,
Vince didn't want 3 hours, so that ball's in their court.
And in fact, they actually do 5 hours right on USA original programming per week, right, with the NXT.
Yep.
Let's see.
And I don't know when the Fox deal is up, but it's only a few more years left on that deal. So,
it'll be brought back over, because I don't think Fox.
No,
they were not happy because they wanted to deal with the WWE Network on there.
And I'll be honest, I would bet if a sale goes through, I think Fox would option to let them have it back and just be done with it.
It's possible. It's possible. Let's see. If it says NBC buys it lock, stock, and barrel with the show times. Okay, we already talked about that to a reasonable amount. I think it's the USA is the one that, like you were saying, dictated that. I don't think it'll be cut. Now, to me, it needs to be expanded. And I'll tell you, as I have found, and of course, as you know, I fast forward. I use fast forward number 2 to get through most of the program. 18 minutes this past Monday night for them to get to the first match. 18 minutes to get there. Is what it came up to be. And the Mintz and Morrison boring us all to tears. And of course, like I said, I fast forward through all that. Let's see what else we got here. Vince did some good things for the business by bringing it to mainstream, but when he exposed the business, it hurt the territories.
I don't know that it was so much him. Remember, the 2020 interview is really what exposed the business more than anything. Vince, come out and, to get out from under the athletic commission authorities, said it was entertainment, but they didn't start showing behind the scenes stuff. It
Sure.
was that 2020 thing that actually, to me, was the real big turning point in that. And that was going to happen. It's happened before, as we've covered here historically, back in the late 20s, early 30s. It got exposed and business tanked. And personally, I never cared for that aspect of the industry. I just believe, to me, kayfabe was always just don't talk about it.
Sure.
I don't expose it. I didn't, tell people it was a work or not a work or whatever. I just said, buy a ticket and figure it out for yourself. Whatever you
All right.
think.
Does Peacock have input in creative? I think they have an overseer, do they not?
Think so.
Don't USA have a producer or I don't know.
Yeah, and I think as we have found out with Peacock scrubbing a lot of the older content, they are looking. I don't know that they sit in a meeting and say, okay, well, we don't like what you're doing with the theme here. I think when it's presented and then they look at it and say, okay, this is a little too far. This is not what we want for our network. Pull back just a little bit. Yeah, sure. I think that's their creative. I don't think they're pitching ideas.
All right, let's see. Michael Barr says, I am watching as we're chatting, and it's nothing like what wrestling should be. The Mitts coming out in a wheelchair. It doesn't look right. It's a gimmick, ladies and gentlemen. Just be prepared. It's going to be, it's got that
well,
one.
I don't know if he's had knee surgery or if he's supposed to have knee surgery. So that might be a total work.
Les was wrong. It was the same Rudy Kay that worked in Detroit 1968 as a manager of his brother. When he and the Comier brothers, I guess that's what it's called, I knew it was him. They worked as Pierre and Maurice LaBelle. Okay, and of course, and they want to bring back, maybe not bring back, but let's not tell everybody what the finish is going to be before.
You don't even have to call it kayfabe. Just call it respect the business. Yes. And on top of that, respect the fans.
That to me is the most important part.
Yeah.
I think that when you go out there and do what a lot of them have done, it's an insult to any rational person. Or to me it is. Would it help? Would it help the WWE if the promotion could get the fans back and not those monitors around the ring? Yes, absolutely. And that's coming. That's coming. And then they keep adding. They keep adding dates to the July show. So in July, which we're talking, what is that? Just a few weeks from now, we're going to have live back, and it does make a difference. The fans are a very important part of any show. It doesn't matter what show it is. The fans are a very important part.
And wrestling itself is just picking back up, especially in the independents. Wrestle South, we're fixing to go to 2 shows a month, starting next month. Of course, we start our foray into a live show in October. And I got contacted the other day about doing another promotion.
So, wow. Line them up. Line them up.
I'll wait. I'm too busy to retire now.
I wonder if there is a sale. We will go back to redevelopment of characters. I know it harkens to the territories, but I don't see success without either a power plant or WWE Developmental Center. Lots of times, and it's just my opinion, lots of times they take whatever's developed and try to get as much of it out as they possibly can. The only way that the Performance Center stays in business if Triple H and Stephanie stay there.
Yeah.
If they're any way eliminated from the company,
if they change anything about that, it'll tank.
That'll be the end of especially Performance Center. That will be the end of that, because for whatever reason, people that in the higher ups of corporations, they do not foresee the future and development of anything. They just don't, whatever it is.
Of course, now there is a movement with WWE to develop a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling also at this time. So beautiful. Again, that's an indicator of something. I'm going to change my name.
Change your name. Yes.
That's an indicator to me that they're trying to do something different.
And there are quite a few independents moving into the Southeast. And let's see what we got here. We got Richard said, it's nothing like the smell of popcorn and hot dogs, drinking Coke at a wrestling show with fans. Absolutely. That has always been the main thing. Yep. Hit the concession stand and get ready. What moves someone from NXT to the big shows? Jack?
Well, it's a creative process. It's not necessarily Vince. It's those writers up there who take a look and they say, okay, well, you got Johnny Gargano. He's getting over huge there. Let's bring him up and completely change everything about him and see if we can't get him over. You know, and that is the biggest peeve I have.
That's counterproductive because the wrestlers have developed that over the years, and then you're taking and throwing them in throwing a curve after all that time. Charles Bellflower says free admission to all Wrestling South matches with a jar of pickles.
Well, you try.
Stuart Kemp, great to see what one calls independent wrestling groups: Wrestling South, Wrestle South, USA Championship Wrestling, SICW, St. Louis, etc. Getting good crowds to start once a month. They don't get the big push. So here we go. We'll go to the next one. Robert Grice, it seems Karen Cross. Carrion Cross. Okay, Cross. As you can see,
he was Killer Cross in the independents for years. He worked Mexico. He worked a lot of places, and I think the guy's fantastic. And I think as he is right now, he could be the biggest thing in the wrestling industry. But if something don't change, if they bring him to Raw, I don't even call it going up because I don't consider it a step up anymore to go from NXT to Raw or SmackDown. But if they'll screw him up too.
Don't you think that it is time, instead of saying they're going to bring somebody up from NXT, that NXT becomes a third equal?
Oh yeah, I
totally
agree with that.
And and to me, it should come as soon as the next draft. That everybody from NXT, everybody would be in it. To me, Michael Barr, where has Roman Reigns gone to? He's on SmackDown. He's the Universal Champion.
Yep.
Doing the same thing every week, just about. Yep. If you want to watch one show, you've seen it. Let's see. Did you guys see Wild Bill Irwin show up totally wasted on a shoot interview?
I did see that.
17 minutes. All right. Wild Bill. And let's see. What am I watching? What am I watching now is what has been mentioned before. The main events are starting matches. Right. And Jack, what are your opinions would be a good way to change the promotion? You're talking about WWE? Which promotion?
If you're talking about WWE, first thing I would do is get rid of creative and bring in guys who actually understood the professional wrestling business. Because I don't care how you keep trying to dress it up as a Hollywood product, it's not a Hollywood product, and it's not like anything else. And if it was me, I would pay whatever Dutch Mantel demanded. I'd have guys like Dutch. I'd have Les. I'd have guys who understood how to connect or how to get your people to connect to the people out there. Because that's the things that's missing is you only have 2 or 3 people that's actually making a connection with the fans now.
Right. Alrighty, so let's see here. Okay, are we ready? Let's do we're going to go ahead and we'll come back and we will talk about this and other things after we finish with our little production part here. And we're going to talk about, what's the name again?
Tom Drake.
Tom Drake. Jack, I'll let you host the whole thing here. I will move to this section. We will move everything over. And have we been going live the entire time? Oh, we do. We get go live. Okay, we're good. Brent edits this. Okay, so we go. We're going to go out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Thomas Edwin Drake, December 5th, 1930 to February the 2nd, 2017, was an American attorney, professional wrestler, politician, and member of the athletic staff of the legendary football coach Paul Bear Bryant. at the University of Alabama. He was a Democratic member of the Alabama House of Representatives, serving as Speaker from 1983 to 1987. He was a resident of Vinemont, Alabama. His wife of over 55 years, Christine McCoy Drake, also an attorney, stateswoman, and former member of the Alabama Board of Education, predeceased him on September 26, 2011. Drake was born in Faulkville, Alabama, raised in the Great Depression after his father was killed in a railroad accident when Drake was only 6 years old. He attended public schools in Coleman County, obtaining an athletic scholarship to the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. After high school, he both wrestled and played football for the Chattanooga Mocs. He was subsequently drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, but his career with them ended when he was drafted by the United States Army. After an honorable discharge, he went on to become the first head wrestling coach at the University of Alabama and was a member of the athletic staff, which included head coach Bear Bryant and future coach Gene Stallings. When Tom Drake came into this world, he had no way of knowing, nor did his parents, of what an extraordinary life he would go on to live. Over the next 8, almost 9 decades, he would see the advent of televisions and microwave ovens, witness electricity and telephones installed in private homes, serve honorably in the Army, and assist one of the most famous coaches of all time. He would also campaign for Governor George Wallace and wrestle some of the biggest names in the sport, including a bear. Pivotal in his success was the acclaim and notoriety he achieved as a professional wrestler. Along the way, Drake wrestled or partnered with many of the sport's greatest legends, including Gorgeous George, Lou Thesz, Bearcat Brown, Tojo Yamamoto, and Lynn Rossi. Sometimes wrestling as the Coleman Comet, Drake wrestled professionally until 1978, eventually being inducted into the International Wrestlers Hall of Fame in 2001. His signature move was simply the dropkick. He was also awarded the Iron Mac Mazurki Award at the Cauliflower Alley Club in 1997. He is a member of the George Tragus Lou Thesz Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2001. And at the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum, he was awarded the Senator Hugh Farley Award in 2008 and the Significance Award in 2016. In 1960, Drake entered law school at the University of Alabama. He continued to wrestle in order to support his wife and daughter Mary. While still a student, he successfully campaigned for a seat in the Alabama legislature, defeating 11 opponents without a runoff. In that position, he represented Coleman County for 32 years. While a member of the House of Representatives, he was elected consecutive terms as Speaker of the House under then-Governor George Wallace. He would become one in a long line of prestigious lawyers and the father of 2 more. Tommy Drake now heads his father's law practice, and Whit Drake practices law in Birmingham. Both of the boys also married lawyers, plus have 2 more children, Mary Frances Pate, assistant professor at the College of Nursing at East Carolina University, and Christine Lowe, who lives outside of London and holds a PhD. Drake practiced personal injury law and general civil law for over 48 years, handling many high-profile cases in the North Alabama area. His grandfather, Jasper Newton Butler Powell, an attorney as well, was sought out for assistance in jury selection by both the prosecution and defense in the infamous Scottsboro Boys trial. He would be instrumental in advancing Coleman County's educational opportunities and have a building named for him on the campus of Wallace State Community Campus. He traveled extensively with his wife. They both won dance contests and met some of the most unusual and influential people, including dignitaries from all over the world, while never losing touch with his humble roots nor the people he served in Coleman County. Professional wrestling initially made Tom a well-known figure, but his tireless dedication to the citizens of Alabama made him a legend. On a personal note, I had my first official wrestling match on May 9th, 1985 at West Point High School in Coleman County, just down the road from Tom's home in Vinemont. I met him the first time that night. And when I wrestled anywhere in Coleman County, he would come out and visit me. He was happy to find someone that he could connect to with pro wrestling. And while I didn't personally know everyone that he wrestled with, I certainly knew who they were. So when he told me stories, I was able to let him know what had become of those wrestlers. He instilled in me the desire to preserve wrestling history then, something that makes this podcast such an important part of my life. I will forever be grateful for his friendship and encouragement.
Tremendous story about Tom Drake. It's outstanding. And he got to wrestle in a good time, really. Lynn Rossi, what a great wrestler, and tremendous mind for the business. Remember when we were doing the United Wrestling WrestleVision, he was going to be our commissioner. You remember Lynn Rossi was going to be, and it didn't take but a minute. Dad asked him if would you be our commissioner, and he was going to be it. But Tom Drake, tremendous name and influence all throughout Alabama. Let's look at some of our Michael Barr had a comment here. Interesting, Jack. No idea that Drake was with Paul Bear Bryant, an attorney as well. Yeah. Charles Bellflower says meet Tom Drake, and he met Tom Drake at the CAC in 1996 in Tampa. He gave him a coin that said Alabama Speaker of the House. And did you get one of those coins too?
I did, and I have no idea where it's at.
Wow. Michael Barr again. Has any of the Drake family become wrestlers? No,
none of them ever followed that path. They followed the path of being lawyers like their dad. As a matter of fact, the Tom Drake Center at Wallace State Community College I was at just a few weeks ago, and I even my buddy that promotes Wrestle South, I took a big one of those panoramic pictures, and I said, I think I found us an arena.
There you go. Wallace Community College, Dothan Campus, Midland City,
Beautiful.
Alabama.
Beautiful.
And of course, Aaron said, thank you for sharing this great story with us, Jack. And it was a fantastic story. Tom Drake, legend in Alabama and professional wrestling as well. And of course, if you liked this video, give us the big thumbs up. Hit that notification bell and share it with all your friends. We thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. And I don't believe he ends it. I think we just continue to talk.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was you had here we go. Jack, I would have you and Jim Cornette running the promotion. How do you think that would work out, Jack?
I think I might teach him a word or two he doesn't know.
Wow. Absolutely. Great story on Tom. Now, tomorrow night, Brent hopefully will be back unless he takes another muscle relaxer. I wouldn't suggest it. And then we're going to talk about Tony Anthony. I think this is the second round for Tony Anthony, is it not?
It is. It's
the second round for Tony. So part 2 of Tony Anthony for tomorrow night. Of course, Les will be back with us, and he was wanting to come back, I think, tomorrow. He could have, I guess. Okay. And we honestly, we really have a lot. I think we're going to do the top 100, I think, tomorrow night as well.
We've also got a segment we're going to tape after on Terry Funk.
Terry Funk, that's right, Terry Funk. And so that will be a very interesting, no doubt about that. Okay, Michael, prayers to Brent. Hope he gets better, and we will always appreciate that. And hopefully he will be better. He was feeling a little bit better. He said he was still a little dizzy. I'm concerned about the dizziness. I don't understand why he would be dizzy, unless he really took more than one of those.
Well, he's like we are, though. He doesn't. That's not something he normally takes. So,
Charles, we want less. Yeah, he was awesome. He really is. And I asked that the question about the commentators because they seem, once I turn them off, then the shows are watchable for me, and I stick with it more. But the announcers themselves are totally irritating, and I'm not sure what it is about that, but they
Well,
are
it's
totally
because
irritating.
Vince is in their ear, and I'm sure there's other producers in the others' ears.
Mhm.
Nobody likes Michael Cole. I'm one of those. I hate to hear
Yeah.
it, but I'm wondering, would I not like him if Vince wasn't in his ear all the time? I would really. We've never heard what Michael Cole can actually do. We've heard
Sure.
what Vince in his ear can do.
Well, I watched at one time, I don't know if you remember this, but on Chattanooga, Harry Thornton was he must have been on vacation or sick that week, and Les came down from Knoxville after they did the Southeastern. That was in 1980 when Georgia Championship Wrestling was running the Southeastern part there in Knoxville, and Dad came down that night too with Schultz and Condrey, and they worked Chattanooga that night. And it was a difference of night and day between the way Harry's delivery, and I'm not saying Harry's delivery was bad. It was just Les's was different, very much
Yeah.
different, more like what you would get with Gordon Soley. And he was, I mean, and in that interview, he said, Gordon was what he patterned himself after, and it just amazing what a difference that it made. It was a difference between night and day of Harry and Harry's delivery. Not to say, like I said, not to say it's bad. And then Les's delivery, it's different, very much different than.
Well, Harry always reminded me. He talked just like my granddad.
Mhm.
So I always imagined if something ever happened to Harry, my granddaddy could have stepped in.
Step right on in. And the thing about it is probably no one at the time, probably no one could step in and take Harry's place. He had been doing it so long. Jack, how many independent promotions do you see in the future being as big as Continental, I guess, CCW or any other larger promotion in southern states?
Well, I don't think you can compare anything that's now or coming as back in the territory days, because those days the setup was just different. I don't believe you can run a territory full time. Now, can you bring back those qualities and still do a decent number of shows a week? Yeah, you probably do that. I think I don't think there was ever be another Monday night in Birmingham every week type deal. You'd have to spread that out. Social media, drops on everything, so every show would have to be totally different from the last. So there's a lot of factors out there. We rag on WWE, but we really, I mean, they got to come up with original content. Show, what is that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a week on average. And then when you have those pay-per-view weekends, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. Plus all the other programming they keep up with.
What I was alluding to earlier about the amount that we see the same talent. If you watch Raw, you see the same talent for 3 hours, just about, and they come, and I get that they're assuming that the fans are not watching the entire 3 hours. They come and go throughout the whole time, and I guess that's probably right. But it just seems to me like they would need more, because it seems like it's shoestring. It really does look like a shoestring show to me. They're just doing it as just at minimum, just to do the minimum stuff on the show. Let's see, Aaron right here. Les is a great guest. Please let Brent know we missed him tonight. We will. And he probably, well, he's not watching now, but he's probably watching. He probably watched the shows. I guess he did. Jack, what is the name of the famous knee surgeon in Alabama?
Dr. James Andrews.
That's right.
And I actually went to see Dr. Andrews one time, and his response to me after looking at my x-rays are, "How'd you walk in here?"
Exactly. Wow. Yeah.
I was 32 years old when I saw him, and he said, "You will be in a wheelchair by the time you're 40." And he was wrong.
Kept going indeed. All right. Well, I believe I think that's about right, isn't it? Our time. We've been about 40 minutes. Is that correct?
Yep.
And of course, as always, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight. A little bit different. Brent hopefully will be back with us unless he's all hopped up on that dope again. Then he may not be. We'll just be me and Jack again.
It's CBD, guys. It's okay.
And I act like I'm not hopped up on the dope. Just hold it better. No, I'm just kidding. As always, we always thank you. Without you, we have no pro wrestling inside now. And we thank each and every one of you for joining us. And tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about Tony Anthony. We're going to be talking about Terry Funk. And we're going to add, I think, another list to our top 100. We're going to add another one of those two. Brent's is already, or he's posted his. I believe his is, I forget what number we're at, but I think it's Bobo Brazil.
97, I think.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. We got a few more here. Rodney Wood, your dad. Would your dad have become a promoter if had the chance? He was a promoter. He did do promotions. He did promoters. And he did a little bit of everything. Wasn't just a referee. He did a little bit of everything from promoting. He was assistant booker. He'd actually booked some as well. In fact, he probably should have booked Georgia, but for whatever reason, Barnett said no, because he said, I would give it to you, but if things don't work out, I have to get rid of you. And he said, right now, you're very important to my future plans. Hi, guys. Just checking in. It's hard to get Brent's under the weather. Well, thank you very much. And, of course, Michael Barr. Thanks. Great show. Thanks. And, of course, as for Jack Lord, I'm Rodney West, and we will see you tomorrow night right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out.